to turn to your work in the world as a coach, as an entrepreneur, and as someone who, I've attended your workshops. I feel like you're the master or the matron. I was going to say matron saint of self care. I was thinking about Heart and Soul and Harriet Tubman, but like seriously, I feel like you really are a leader in thinking about self care. I've been to your workshops. I've always loved like the experience of thinking about self in that way, and it doesn't feel really mainstream still. I think it's like more people are talking about self care than like I don't know 10 years ago, but I still think based on everything we talked about, even in work culture, there's still this idea that you got to sacrifice yourself. So I want to talk a little bit about how do you even get into that kind of consciousness, but also the work of bringing that consciousness to more people about the importance of self care.
Yeah, yeah. Well, honestly, I have been, when I was in my early 20s, I was introduced to, like, one mentor introduced me to a woman named Sabrina Jackson Gandy, which I'll share some of her books later if we get to that.
Mhm.
Who actually, I had one of her books as a teenager, someone passed down to me when I wasn't even ready for it, and later got a chance to meet her as she came to Oakland and she was doing this Love Academy session. And I came and I was like the youngest person in the room, and there was a bunch of Black women, and we were talking about relationships and how to understand men and all that. It started there, but it was this other component she brought in was which was sacred self-care, and like really challenging women to look at themselves, not like what the man got to do, but like how are you, aligned and taking care of you. And so I studied under her. I couldn't get enough. I took her masterminds and her courses for several years, just was always in them and always like learning for myself, because I knew it was valuable information and I was applying. I started, writing my gratitudes every day, speaking affirmations, just utilizing these things and building up just my cup, filling up my cup, and noticing a difference in like my energy and like my light and just like how I attract and just all of those things. And it ended up becoming a part of just who I was, and and I later realized that I was being called to, I mean, I naturally would attract people and naturally have conversations, and like, just the energetic of like people being safe enough to talk to me and, exchange. I was also running a girls program, so I was like bringing all of that information to them directly first. So we gonna do all of this together. But over the years, I was called to also like work with women and to start coaching and really expanding that and really supporting as many Black women in particular in like making self-care a priority, and not like, the pampering and the maintenance of the body, like the outside, which is what, typically people think of when you say self-care. I'm gonna get my nails done, I'm gonna get my hair done, which that's cool and that's great, or it might be making sure you're eating the right foods or you're exercising. But the other piece that we don't talk a lot about too is like, how are you pouring into your cup, and also why you even need to pour into your cup, right? What you might need to be setting some boundaries and saying no to some people or some things, and like really shifting and demonstrating what it looks like to value yourself, to prioritize you, and shifting your mind around what, not feeling bad about that, being unapologetic about that. And this sounds so simple, but I realize like it's really hard, as Black women, as women, as like the nurturers, we're expected to just do and feel for everybody, and like, and we're the last on the list. And so I became really, really passionate about that piece, supporting Black women and like shifting that around. And while on my own journey of leaping into answering those callings, like I've been blessed to like recognize gifts and talents and callings, and to be obedient to listen to them. And so my other piece of this work is like also helping women like build up their confidence and their courage and their creativity to like say yes to what's theirs to do.
Mm.
And that, could be anything. And because I feel like we all got gifts and talents and things. And so I've been merging those things together, and so yeah, I think that, I don't know, did I answer the
Yes,
question?
I mean, but you also touch on so many good things in the sense that I feel like self love for me, self love and self care are like two things that like go together.
Hmm.
Like, and I remember a few years ago, it feels like Reverend Andriette, who is the spiritual leader of Heart and Soul Center of Life, which Nakia and I are both part of that community. Um, she said years ago, like, if you don't love yourself, you can't love me, you can't love nobody else. Like, watch out, like,
Hmm.
stay back if you don't love
Yep.
don't tell me you love if you don't love yourself kind of thing. She made
Yep.
it was like an awakening. Like she said that more than one time, but I remember a few years ago it was like an awakening for me. And you may
Yeah.
remember I did a workshop at one of Keisha's Activate Your Callings around self love based on the book All About Love by Bell Hooks,
Yes.
like my Bible. And when I started to really love myself, which is just, I mean, it feels like just a few years ago that I really, really started. And then I saw how important the pouring into your cup part, the self care part, and how it goes hand in hand with that. Because, if you are anything you love, you nurture.
Hmm.
Anything you love, you water, you watch it grow. If something's going on, you attend to it. And that's what I feel I see in your work is like this conversation about how do you tend to yourself, nurture yourself so that
Hmm.
you can be prepared then for the leaps and for the things
Yes.
you really are called into. And I don't think everyone makes that connection. But what I love about your work is how you actually make connections across the board. Like even your jewelry, like the fact that you, I'm like, I have my ring on, sorry. But
Oh, it's all good. I got them all.
my ring on that I have from Nakia. But like to me, when we were talking and you're like, the fact that I do copper jewelry and copper is healing
Hmm.
is connected and I crown women and I do these things in as a connection. Everything that I do is woven together, which I was like, ooh, girl. I hadn't even thought the jewelry had a
Yes.
connection to the self-care, to the leaping. So I
Yes.
love you to tell how all that comes together. Like talk some more about that because I do see it on you, you know? But
Yeah, yeah. I think first I'll say that, for me, self love or self care is how we demonstrate self love. And so the self care is the actions that we take because it's easy to say, I love myself, but what are you doing to nurture and love on yourself? How are you, showing up, for yourself, and really demonstrating what that looks like in action. And so, and when you, and I feel like going back to the pouring up into my cup, I realized like when I was pouring more into my cup and demonstrating self-love, that the light and the energy that I carry, and meaning like attracting love and abundance and joy. And when you can literally look and see a glow in me, and people say, oh, you're glowing, or, you whatever, it's because of the energy, right? And for me, I'm like, wow, this is good stuff. And this is how we should be, in that energetic. And so with my jewelry, it was another thing, that a download that came to me as well. I was doing a 40-day prosperity plan, the little green book, which I bought from Heart and Soul, after it was gifted to me by an elder. And, anyway, there's a lot behind that book. But I was doing the meditation and got the spiritual download to make crowns. And at the time, I had a necklace I was putting around my head, and I was just playing. I didn't think it meant too much. Like, oh, that's cute. I got that spiritual download, and I acted on it. Like the next day, wrote down the ideas. Ended up at a Juneteenth festival, and the shells were calling me. Got the shells. Went and got materials, and then I made a few crowns, and then came to Heart and Soul. and sold like 2 or 3 of them out of my purse in a Ziploc bag. And I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, I could say it's a whole long story around the jewelry, but the same energy that I carry or that we carry within ourselves and how we care for ourselves, everything is energy. So everything we touch and the creativity, like that we put into our work, and this is just a physical manifestation of it. And women feel that when they wear the jewelry. And it is like an armor of, it's beautiful, but it's like an armor. It's like protection with the crowns. And yes, it is the carby shells represent prosperity and abundance, and copper is, good for so many other things like circulation and really absorbing negative energy, and there's other meanings to it. But even if I don't assign a meaning to it, the fact that I'm doing work on myself and putting that same energetic into these pieces and going out across the world or the United States, haven't really shipped it outside of the US, but just knowing that people are not just receiving a beautiful gift, that they're getting the same magnetic energy of radiance and joy and light, and that's evoking their own, because they already have it. So the jewelry is just a reminder, of the beauty and the divine feminine energy, and that was already there, for women. So I can say a whole lot about this. The jewelry is a story in its own, but I've been more recently, trying to really connect them and talk about it
Yeah.
as they are connected. Because I have people who just, oh, I just, they come to me because of the jewelry. They're attracted, literally attracted to it. And then learn about other aspects. And so now I'm like, all right, now that you've adorned yourself, how do you pour into your inner cup? And then I have folks who they come for the workshops, or come for different avenues. And it's all me. And not just me, but it's all me, in terms of my energy and my gifts and talents, and like what people are coming for, and self-love and self-care, and the inspiration to just answer your divine call and bring your divine gift into life. I think this is just a representation of that as well. I'm gonna pause because I said a lot.
Yeah, no. That was a lot of good stuff. I mean, I was, just thinking about the next part of your work, is the leaping and the supporting women in leaping. And I really want to take a moment there because, you know, self love, self care, they go hand in hand. The
Yeah.
stuff that you're doing with your jewelry, I mean, that was your own leap and your own, like, trust in your own demonstration of what a download will look like. But the truth is, you could have had the download and stopped right there. You could have had the download and not like done the next step. And so I think what is so beautiful about what you do is how you kind of have that all flow together and can support someone in something you've already done, which is take that next step once you have that download. So I wanted to hear how you do that in the world with women, and what inspires you to keep that part of your work going.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's I later learned that was why I took certain leaps in the past, and not just the big leap of like what manifested through my jewelry. It was also the smaller leaps of like, oh, well, there's being the spiritual piece is always the foundation, and being obedient to what's coming through, right? And even when I'm afraid. And so, like smaller leaps of, oh, where that conference, I need you to go to that conference, and trying to figure out what's it going to take me to get there. If I can't fully see in front of me, I don't have all the money or whatever, all the things we go through, and money is usually the thing that'll stop you. But if you believe in something beyond and that end result, and so being able to take my own self, my own journey, what does it look like to make sure that I'm in that room, and that requires a lot of the inner and the outer work. And then when I say that, it's like I need to building up my confidence, shifting my mindset, making my imagination really align with where I'm trying to go, and spending intentional time with that, and having goals. too, and having a plan and taking action towards the plan and trusting the process even when it shifts and changes, but not giving up, like still staying committed to that end result, and realizing, if it's for you, it's gonna come through. But you have to. That's why that inner piece is important. Like we can't talk about leaping into, do you have the confidence? Let's work on your courage. Let's look at how you gonna get creative. Those are 4 C's I work with. Clarity first. Where are you going? Where are you going?
Yeah, from somebody who be trying to get clarity. So I'll be like, I have all these 10 things I want to do. So anyway,
Yeah, and I just introduced the clarity into it recently because I used to only do the other 3. And I said, no, 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 we got to start with clarity first, because people be like, we, have all these ideas, or it may not even know which way to go, or be overwhelmed with too many things, or you just don't know where to start. And that's the thing, is like I support women in, where do you start?
mm,
Let's like really look at your vision, map that out, and get you to the next step. Because you came to my last workshop, which was a very just like realization that was across the board for everybody. I think was just being overwhelmed with too many things at once, and not taking a step, or making goals that are just like unrealistic, um and just us needing to shift and know that you can take baby steps. You can, if you exceed the goal, that's great, but don't put the goal way up there and you ain't gonna step towards it. So I help women really shift that mindset around, and taking the steps. If you ain't ready to leap yet, let's build up so that you're ready to leap.
right.
And going through those 4 C's, and a lot more. I'm kind of simplifying it, but that piece is so important to me. It's like, yeah, we got to take care of ourselves, right? That's important too, right? But if you got a divine calling on your life,
Mm-hmm.
you got to answer that. I mean, you don't have to, but I want to see you, and I want to support you.
Right. Yeah. I was listening to an interview on Oprah, talking to an author, the author of The Alchemist, and he said everybody in life has a personal legend, but not everybody, and that's a divine purpose, a purpose they're called to, but not everybody will answer the call.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what you're saying is that
Yes.
you have the call, but we gonna see Nakia gonna support you in answering the call.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes. And to know that answering the call doesn't have to be right away that big step you take. You may not be ready for the big leap yet. You may need to just let's start somewhere. And
Mhm.
that's the thing, we don't get started because we are thinking about the larger vision, and it's scary. Yes, it's scary. And it's exciting too. Usually it's exciting and it's scary because it's a calling on your life. Your higher self is like, come on. But
Mhm.
and that's the other thing we do. We look at the limited beliefs and the blockages, and you gotta uncondition some stuff. you
Yeah.
know, it's just, and that's the thing. There's some coaches, are just like, well, here's all the steps you got to take to get here, but leave out that personal development, that mindset work, that breaking barriers, where we got to look at what's holding us back. What are the obstacles, so that you can get ahead of it and shift. um, and so I do that work too, just as our coach does. And, certain folks know the importance of that piece. So,
Yes. And it's interesting because I've heard, when you're in this kind of world where you are a coach or you are an entrepreneur or someone creating something, you listen. For me, I listen to coaches. I listen to some of the great minds that have done the thing. And so I heard someone, I don't remember which one it was, because I've been listening to a bunch of people: Bob Proctor, Joe Dispenza, Oprah. I just been sitting here working
mhm,
from home, playing them in the background. And, it's like if your vision doesn't scare you, like if
yeah,
what you're called to do doesn't kind of have a little bit of like, can I do it? Then,
mhm,
it's not big enough. I heard someone say, and I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
that I'm in the perfect, because I have like this, ooh, I feel like there's more, you know,
Yeah.
but it
Mm-hmm.
is starting. It is the kind of like getting started. And I
Yeah.
think you're so right about what it takes. It's one foot in front of the other first,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and trusting in that whole, there's the steps, the actions, and the outer work and the inner, what you got to build up, trusting your journey and what that looks like too, and building up like tools that will help you, be reminded when you forget. Because like there's gonna be moments where you forget them affirmations or the goal or what, why you're doing it. So what do you have in place to really support you to reset, again? So yeah, there's so many components to that work.
It just occurs to me. I want to shout out Lisa Nichols. I've been watching her. Deepak Chopra. I've been watching him. Wayne Dyer.
Yeah.
I've been watching him. There's so many greats that I've just been
Mm-hmm. Les Brown.
Les Brown. There's so many names and people that they're so accessible now. You can just kind of pull a YouTube video and you off to the races. But you mentioned Debrina, who
Mm-hmm.
was your beginning, like your coach, your teacher. So I wanted you to show those books, talk
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more about the people that you rely on, that you've come to call teacher. So and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So thank you. Yeah, Debrina, this is the first book that I got introduced to with her. It's called All the Joys You Can Stand. 101 pampering no power principles for making joy real in your life. She has another book called Sacred Pampering Principles. So that's why that word came out. But as you can see how worn this thing is, I've had this since I was a teenager.
Oh wow.
Like I said, an elder that I was mentoring, this youth group I was a part of, took this off her shelf and passed it down to me. And
Mm,
I didn't know I wasn't ready for this book until I got the opportunity to meet Debrina at, yeah, the event I mentioned earlier. In this book, um, it's just it was written a while back, but it's still so powerful. It's just so many tools and just the essence of her earlier work, with self-care and joy and just doing the work. And I've now incorporated into my mastermind program. Like, we read this book together, during our 6-month journey, while we're doing all the other work that I talked about. And I will also share, this is her more recent book called The Love Lies.
mhm.
And this one right here, now, woo, she is like busting up, just is revolutionary. Just really teaching us how to deprogram ourselves, from the love lies and relationships, and like how to understand men, how to forgive ourselves. And, even with that whole list situation, like, making sure you're a reflection of the thing you are asking for. And you can have your list and all that, but are you matching on there? So it's a lot of activities, and like just it's so deep. It's hard to even just like, I gotta pick it up, put it down. And I'm actually going to be a part of one of her intensives next week. She's doing, because she does live 101 Love Academy and 201, and I've done them already, but now as an adult I'm doing them again, and who's grown. So I'm like, I get to see, okay, I'm doing that, but I still got work to do. And
Mhm.
so she has been pivotal in my, just someone who's been like a mentor, and who I followed. I've also followed Chanel Cooper Sykes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so this is one of her books, Stilettos in the Kitchen. And they're on Instagram, and you can find them. But she just really invoked it, that just the power of just affirmations, like just, oh my God, and just how to write really powerful affirmations. And she's, she's done a lot more than that. I've taken a lot of her virtual courses and things like that. But it's a good book. She's amazing to follow. Just her journey. She's definitely influenced me a lot. Um, let's see, who else? I mean, those are some of the books, but I
Yeah.
talked about that 40-day prosperity plan book. That's a good one to have. It's by John Randolph Price. Little green book. It's in my room, so I can't get it and
I
show you.
have it. Hold on. So
Yes.
talking about a book where it's kind of like worn.
Uh-huh.
It's not as worn as your like first book, but I'm telling you, I got all these little notes
Yes.
I
Yeah.
highlight because I was like, you know what? Abundance and prosperity and
Mhm.
all of that kind of reminds me of the connection between self-love and self-care is and kind of what you talked about your list, like, are we asking for all these things that we are not?
Mhm.
Am I asking for all of this kind of like abundance and prosperity, but I'm not there
Mhm.
internally?
Right.
Am I still, making unwise choices? Am I still, you know, spending from a scarcity place or
Mhm.
like really letting fear drive me? And
Yeah.
if that's the case, well then that's what I'll be reflecting out is that the energy that you talked about earlier, like
Yeah.
if that's my energy, then
Mhm.
that's the energy that's circulating through my life in all these ways. And this book will get you to remember that and
Yes.
will help reprogram a lot of that. And just quickly, there's an activity that Reverend Andret has assigned, those of us who are in this session, like for the 40 days. And it's like writing part of one of these. There are 10 principles in here. Writing a little part of it 55 times for 5 days in a row, like picking a little statement, writing it out. And child, I've been doing that this whole time. And trust me, when you write, like, I am conscious of the inner presence of my lavish abundance. When you write that 55 times, 5 days in a row,
Mhm.
it starts to kind of do some work. So
Mhm. Yes.
just
Love that. I'm gonna have to borrow that piece right there. But yeah, that's the inner work is so important. And that reminded me of like the Abraham Hickses and the Louise Hay, and just I've also dived deeper into their work as well. But yeah, because if you're not aligned with your vision, your goals, or whatever you're trying to do, even if it's like a man or whatever the thing is, right? You got to be a vibrational match to it, and deprogramming. Reading these books, and like you said, having people listening to certain voices in the background that are like pouring that information into your cup and your psyche, because our subconscious mind is always working even when we sleep. And and we have had a lot of the programming and conditioning with us longer, right? And so when you begin to say, I'm going to leap and I'm going to do something different, you I also teach that to expect the old to pop up. Expect the little limited scared girl or whatever you want to call that energy to show up and be like, wait a minute. Like, wait, no, this is what we used to over here. This
yeah,
is what you think you doing. So you better have something ready to
yeah,
say back to her or it or whatever. And so it's that piece is important.
yeah. And it's funny because I'll just say this one thing. I had that happen to me this week where I'm like shifting, and it was like, hold on. Where are you trying to go? And I have just been playing gospel music for like 3 days. And even my daughter was like, so all of a sudden you like a gospel music fan? Like that's all I can hear. And I was like, I always have loved that music, but I need that
Mhm.
constant reminder right now.
Mhm.
Miracles are possible. That, you know, everything is happening for my good. Like,
Yes.
that God is intentional and I'm right there with God. We're one working the intentionality out. So,
Yes.
blessings, blessings, blessings. I could name gospel songs right now, but I
Yes.
I'm,
Yes.
I'm just
Yes.
saying, it's been amazing to have just that tool to lift me,
Mm-hmm.
and to remind and to block the old the
Mm-hmm.
old story, to block
Yeah.
the old story and not allow it in. So
Yep.
to your point.
Yep.
So my last thing to you is, how do people find you, Nakia? How do people want your coaching, your workshops, your jewelry? Where do they go to find you?
Yes, thank you. Well, you can go to for access to my coaching, and then even beyond that, I have 5 ways to pour into your cup self-care tool guide. You can access at goddesscrowns.com, and you can also follow me at Magnetic Woman Coach on Instagram or Facebook. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook at Goddess Crowns by Nakia. And so, with any of those, even if you just want to do social media, you can click the link in my bio, and there's resources that you can be led to support me and supporting you.
Yay. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for being here in conversation with me today. I feel like we covered so much good ground. And I think anyone watching will see that we are and you are here to empower, uplift, support folks in transforming and being more self-loving and self-caring. And so it's just been a wonderful conversation.
Yes, thank you for having me. It has definitely been a wonderful conversation, a soulful conversation, and healing, and just being able to tell the story and share, the resources in the process, because, like, yes, I want to support other women, and I'm going through my own transitions and shifts, and here's what it looks like, and and just the reflection of sisterhood, and full circle with you and I being able to just do this. It's just, I'm grateful. I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, and I know that we hope to do some more collaborative work together. So I'm looking forward to that. And I just feel like it's such a blessing to have sisters and people that you love and admire that you can partner with. So thank you again, Nakia.
Yes, yes. Thank you.